Hey guys, how's it going? Continuing to walk through the New Testament, and so we looked at the four Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We talked about a little bit about how Matthew, Mark, and Luke are very similar, and John is kind of this outlier, which is awesome. We've now started looking at the letters of the New Testament. Paul, who is amazing, writes Romans, First and Second Corinthians, and continues to go on. And we've seen the story of Paul in the fifth book of the New Testament, Acts. So we're going to jump into Galatians today and just see what Paul is writing there. And this is a book that I've really got to look at a lot recently, and it is, man, it is slowly, I think, maybe becoming one of my favorites in the Bible. They're all great, they're all good, and I seem to change it every time I start looking at a different one really heavily. But the reason I love the book of Galatians is because it fights something that I've seen a lot in my life, not just around my life, but really in my life, in my own heart. And whenever the Bible can be very personal, man, that's when that's good stuff. We shouldn't run away from the convictions and the really personal stuff we read in the Bible. And so, what Paul addresses, I think, primarily in the book of Galatians is how the gospel is about grace. That our relationship with Christ, talking about reconciliation like we did last time in Second Corinthians, our relationship with God isn't based on what you can do to earn favor. And so he makes that super clear in Galatians. He talks about how our right standing before God has been a free gift that he has given us through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ, his son. But one of the things I love about the book of Galatians is it then goes on to tear down how even then, after we are saved, we can continue to lean in on doing good works so that we look better before God. Well, if you do this, God will bless you. And if I can just quickly unpack how blessing looks primarily in the Bible, is it's not this superficial, we look good, God likes us more, so he gives us things. Yes, God does supernaturally give good things to those who are, when he deems it right, to those who are loving and pursuing after him. But more than that, the Bible doesn't talk about blessing like we earn things from God, or like we rack up tokens at an arcade to buy really cool fancy things from God with prayers and with Bible reading and worship. But what it talks about is that when we love God and we care about him, then we live our lives in a way that shows our love for God, just like a husband does for his wife. And when we do that, we tap into how God created the world. Just like a tree grows better next to a stream than it does in the desert. That's not some crazy supernatural thing. That's how God designed the world to work. And just as he designed those with very physical connector blocks, he did the same thing with wisdom and grace. And so those who work hard tend to get more because that's how God created the world. And so I say all that to say that the book of Galatians strips away this idea that we work to be seen as better before God and gives us the freedom of, hey, once you are saved, you are perfect before God. And so now we should please him, get to please him. We get to please him because we have a new heart that wants to love him all the more because he is amazing and good, and he is what our heart truly longs for. It takes being a Christian away from do this, don't do this legalism, which is detrimental and soul crushing, and sets it up as what it is, as a loving relationship with the God of the universe. And a good relationship anchored in real love is not two people agreeing to terms and checklists and contracts, but it's two individuals who love each other, doing life together. And in this instance, in the gospel, it is God of the universe and broken, sinful man, and him picking that man up and now giving that man the desire and the means by which to live a beautiful, happy, full relationship with him. Love you guys. Love Galatians. Bless y'all.